Hello, my fellow Cinnaberries. It's Ryan and Crystal,
Heyo.
the stars of Razz My Berry Reviews. We are missing Sam, though, of course. Not all the stars are here. Not all the stars are here for today's episode, or tonight's episode, since it's evening since we're recording this. We just got back from watching Venom.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Sam wasn't entirely sure about this film, and I kind of agree. He didn't want to see it opening weekend, and with his challenge of trying to watch no trailers for Captain Marvel, it was a good thing he didn't go, because they did play that trailer before we watched it. Mm-hmm. I failed at my challenge of watching any more of the Into the Spider-Verse trailers, because that played right there. It's no surprise. It's a Sony movie, so of course they're going to play the Sony trailer.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's get right into it. Crystal, as somebody who's not very familiar with the Venom character, what did you think of his origin, different universe standalone film?
I thought it was pretty good, entertainment-wise.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to how the critics scored it originally, I can kind of see what they got from it, but entertainment point for someone like me who doesn't read the comics that much, it was really good.
Really good.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I could tell, because you were... the experience we had, there was a lot of people in our theater when we were watching it, and you were like getting giddy, especially when we got to when the symbiote fused with Eddie. Mm-hmm. You were just getting giddy and like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah.
And it was like, I know, right? Because I was really entertained as well, from an entertainment standpoint, and I went in, I was determined to go in with an open mind. I know Spider-Man wasn't going to be in it, and that initially bothered me, because I don't think you can have a really great Venom movie without Spider-Man being introduced at all first. And I told myself, just go in, this is going to be a completely different universe, just remember that. Just remember it's a completely different universe, and maybe you'll get some enjoyment more than you think you're going to. Mm-hmm. And I did. And that happened. And I thought, this is a really fun movie. And I really liked it. Was it as bad as critics say? No. It wasn't that bad. But on the other hand, it wasn't that great either. Mm-hmm. It was... a lot of the critics that I read and other people's thoughts on it felt like it felt like a movie that would have worked in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Or it was around that 2000s era kind of a movie. Because they had a lot of music. Heck, they even had Eminem music in there.
Yep.
And I saw that before we went in. And then another friend who we'll be talking about later, she said that, mentioned the whole Eminem thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So... But let's go ahead and address some of the cons. So the really big problem with the movie, other than the fact that Spider-Man wasn't the one who gets the symbiote first, I have to say it otherwise.
Yeah.
As a Venom fan, because he's one of my favorite Spider-Man characters from his Rogues Gallery. But the thing that really hurt the film for me was at times the pacing was like a bit all over the place. There were times where the pacing was like boom, 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 boom. It was like going from scene to scene. It's like, whoa, slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then other times, though, it was like, okay, this is getting really slow. Can we get to the part where Venom is in Eddie, please? Because it felt at times really slow. Mm-hmm. Another kind of con to it was that some of the characters weren't really well developed. The villain, for one thing. He felt, basic corporate. And he just didn't have much of a personality. Like, he kind of reminded me of the villain from the MCU's Ant-Man.
Oh, yeah.
The first Ant-Man, like, all corporate, unethical testing. Like, they felt similar, but, I mean, this guy had a little more personality, I felt, than that villain from Ant-Man.
But still,
like, I get it. You're a corporate businessman. You're trying to, I want to go out into space. I want to get the symbiote to fuse with humans, and I don't care if I have to do unethical experiments and sacrifice lives, yada yada yada. I've seen that whole shtick of evil business corporate man and he just didn't have enough personality. You know what I mean? He just didn't jump off the screen to me. I mean, with that, at least the guy from Ant-Man, he was, the chemicals from the PIM particles were making him crazy. He had more, I felt of more of a personality than than our guy here.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest problem with it. And then some of the other characters, like I said, weren't that well developed. The only real character that you and I enjoyed was Tom Hardy's.
Yes.
Tom Hardy and Venom himself, the symbiote himself, was the best part of the movie. And that's what a lot of critics and a lot of fans that have been saying, like, the best part of the movie is Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
And I knew, back when they announced that Tom Hardy was going to be Eddie Brock, I was like, that's really great casting, I think. I think Tom Hardy would be perfect as Eddie, as Venom. Because Topher Grace sucks. I'm not going to hold back. He sucks. I did not like that casting for Spider-Man 3. It was the worst decision you could have possibly made, but I don't want to get too crazy since I want to hold that for when we do Spider-Man 3 in the future. But no, Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock was perfect casting, I think, and it really helped a lot. So, is there anything you want to add before we go more like into the positive stuff?
I do agree with the pacing
Yeah.
in our cars. There were some I thought there were some like slow parts, and then, as you said, boom, 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 boom. I did enjoy the humor.
Yes, there were the humor. It was more surprisingly funny than I thought it was going to be, and the comedic timing worked pretty well for me.
Yeah.
Though, as you know, I'm an easily amused person, so it doesn't take me a whole lot to get me to laugh.
And the action scenes were well done too.
Yes. So we're going now into positives. Yeah, the action scenes were great. I liked that a lot. And there is one other con. Before we go even more into the positive stuff, was that Venom, for the most part, the CG for Venom, the CG for the symbiotes was a little weird to me. I mean, I could tell, they were going to be CG in the first place. It's obvious because you can't have a character like that without using CGI. But he felt too shiny kind of at times. Like, it felt like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm seeing a computer-generated image right now.
Yeah.
I know, even though I already knew that going in, but it's like, it kind of felt blatantly obvious to me at times. But to be fair, to be devil's advocate, I don't know how to do CGI imaging. I don't know how to make it look realistic onto what's being put on the screen. I can't do a better job than the guys that are doing it. So the guys who did make it, I will give them credit because it looked, for the most part, it looked fine.
Yeah.
I've seen really terrible CG in Sci-Fi Channel movies, and compared to that, this was pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
So now let's get more into the positive spots.
Yes.
So what did you think? We already talked about Tom Hardy and that, but what about Tom Hardy's performance as Eddie did you really like?
When they made it seem like he was talking with the two voices.
So Venom being in him. And the conversation, the relationship building between those two is what you really liked.
It seemed like it was like really fast paced, they hated each other, and then suddenly Venom.
Well, they didn't really hate each other. It was more like Venom had discovered this is a good host, but like he was. I think at that point he was still like on his mission. So spoiler alert by. Sorry, didn't say that sooner, but spoiler alert. So Venom in this is pretty much his own entity. Yeah. And that's one thing that I really liked about the movie was that Venom felt more like another character. Because now this is one character that I do know quite a bit about with the comic book lore, and so with that being said. Sorry, our rabbit just got tangled in our cord over by our TV, and now he just popped off. Silly rabbit. Cords are for TVs. Really bad tricks joke. Anyway, as I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by my rabbit. The thing that in the comic books, at least as far as comic books that I have read with Venom, or watching any of the cartoons with Venom, you don't really get the symbiote side of the story from what I've read. You don't really see it as the character. It's basically, it speaks through its host. Yeah. Mostly. In this movie, we see like it is its own thing. It's its own host. Like it bonds with Eddie, but it's its own being first. And before they really become the we. But like in the comic books, Eddie, once bonded with the symbiote, they refer to them constantly of themselves as we, and we are Venom. And I guess I know I'm trying to stick on positives, but there is another negative that I have to mention. The process of, I was hoping there would be some kind of process as to why Venom is called Venom. When the symbiote bonds with Eddie in the movie, he says, "My name is Venom," and that's it. Like, oh, I'm from another planet, you know, and Venom is from another planet in the comic books. I can't remember the name of the planet off the top of my head, but the symbiote itself is calling itself Venom, and I didn't like that. And the reason behind that is because when Peter first had the symbiote, you know, it bonded with Peter. It became part of his life. He had it on in the comics for quite a while. But when Peter decided to no longer be with it and remove it from him, it felt rejected from Peter. And then it went to Eddie. Now, Eddie, at that point, was also hating Spider-Man because Spider-Man had, you know, pretty much ruined his life. It cost him his job, like Peter Parker, basically, too. That was one thing Spider-Man 3 got right a little bit, was that Peter/Spider-Man ruined Eddie's career, basically, because Eddie pulled the same stuff with Jameson's, you know, framing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it cost him, in the cartoon, I just remember, he's cost me my job, he's cost me my career, he's cost me my health, and then he gets to his apartment and it says eviction, he cost him his apartment, and he hated Peter for that. And basically they transitioned all that hatred from Peter in this movie to the main villain, who was the corporate guy.
Yeah.
See, that's the bad thing. Another bad thing is I don't really remember the characters' names, and we just got back from this not too long ago.
Yeah.
Not that memorable. But the CEO guy.
Yeah.
Or whatever his name was. I'll think of it maybe later.
Yeah.
But I liked that bonding that they did, to go back on that point. Because I like seeing that Venom has his own voice, and then they're, you know, him talking to each other. I liked that aspect, because you really don't get to see a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything else you would like to add? Because I know I've talked a lot.
No, that's fine, because mostly, you know, as I said, I enjoyed the action scenes, the humor, how the symbiote transitioned from one person to another was flawless, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really good. I'm content.
You're content from that?
Yes.
So, Carlton Drake was the name of the character. I looked that up a little bit. So yeah, there's really not much to say about him. Mm-hmm. But, and that's the other thing that I loved about it, was Venom's voice in particular. It sounded just like how I would imagine it when I read a comic book, of how Venom would sound like. Mm-hmm. The whole, "We are going to eat your face," and all that.
Yeah.
Ooh, she seems nice. I like her. And, but yeah, no, the relationship building between him and Eddie was really cool. I liked, when I first started hearing some of the things about the Venom movie, it felt like a werewolf thing where Eddie's trying to fight control, and you kind of felt that vibe. But it was just so cool watching Venom take over Eddie's body and, you know, do that stuff. "Oh, I'll just take care of it myself." And boom, boom, boom. And that was really good, and I loved that. I can't stress enough about Tom Hardy's performance in it. It really, if you go see this movie in a theater, it is for Tom Hardy's performance. I think that alone was worth the admission price.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, overall the story was a bit weak, I'd say. It was just so fast paced, and, you know, let me think of some other positives that I liked about it. I like the fact that they didn't have the Venom spider on there, because then I would have been like really upset, because that's so stupid. Why would he have a Venom spider symbol on his chest if you didn't show Peter at all? Because that's why the symbiote had that. It's like, "We are poison to you, Spider-Man. That's why we call ourselves Venom."
What do you think about the other symbiotes?
Okay, fix the pronunciation,
Sorry.
which I'm glad they did that too. You were saying?
Symbiote.
We really didn't get to see a lot of the other symbiotes. Riot, I'm not familiar with him, if he is in the comic books, but it wasn't too memorable, I'd say. I mean, I would have liked to see what other, because I know there's other symbiotes out in the Marvel universe, but so I'm gonna backtrack. I'm sorry. So my point earlier saying of why he calls himself Venom, I don't like it because in the cartoon, with the whole thing about Eddie being mad at Peter, and also Venom, the symbiote itself being mad with Peter, when it bonded with Eddie, then it started calling itself Venom because in the cartoon and I'll put it right here. Actually, I'll just use the clip. I'm not gonna backtrack. Watch the following clip. This is why I like the fact that Eddie and the symbiote called themselves Venom. Starting right now.
Rejected the symbiote. Only wanted to make you stronger. Well, surprise, surprise. Now, we're one. Now, you're gonna pay. From now on, we're poison to you, Spider-Man. That's why we call ourselves Venom.
So yeah, that's right there. So I don't backtrack and lose how many. I don't know how many people I've already lost already.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I think we've covered it a lot.
I think we've covered everything.
So yeah, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, even though I've said spoilers. But yeah, no, there's 2 end credit scenes. One end credit scene deals more with the movie, and then the last credit scene deals more with a future Sony Marvel movie, which I already kind of talked about earlier. So I'll let you figure that one on your own, but I'm sure you'll be smart enough to figure that out. But yeah, no, one last positive I will say. I felt with Tom Hardy's performance, he felt, and the storytelling with Eddie, felt a lot like from the cartoon, because Eddie is an investigative reporter in the comic books, and I feel like what he did, with his fiance, taking that information and using it in his interview, I feel like that's like, because Eddie's not a great person to begin with. If you watch him from the as a villain standpoint from the Spider-Man comics, he's not exactly that great of a guy until later on what they do with him. But I felt like that was within his character, and he suffered the ramifications for that, and I liked that. But other than that, there really wasn't much to that relationship. So let's go ahead and look at some of the other people's opinions, and then we'll give our ratings. And so first, I had a friend who was willing to give me kind of a full review for her, but I'll keep it nice and short. Her name is Sarah, and she told me that she gives the score, the whole movie out of 10, she gives it an 8.5. This movie jumped through a wormhole of 2000s era superhero movies. Even some of the music was done by Eminem, like I said earlier. There were a few uncomfortable scenes. There was a vomit scene for anyone with a phobia of that. Yeah, I know some people. That being said, it was truly refreshing to walk into this movie and not need to see 10 different movies to understand it. And that's fair. That's a fair criticism of it. Because, yeah, it is kind of refreshing to go in and see that without having all the universe building. But I love that stuff. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with that assessment. It's a fair thing to say. So we've got a few tweets. We didn't have anybody use our after credits, but it's still kind of freshly out, so I'm not that surprised. Not a lot of people may have seen it yet. Crystal, would you like to read the first one?
Sure. This is by We Are Shade at Shade_Meadows. Came back from Venom movie, 10 out of 10. I'm still amazed by the movie. I had the fear that it was going to disappoint, but it was perfect. The kid in me is happy. The adult is pleased. Amazing job. Hashtag Venom Team.
Yes. Yeah, Shade. Well, no, I'm glad you really liked the movie. I wasn't disappointed, quite frankly. It met and also kind of exceeded my low expectations when I had walking in, I will admit. So, But thank you for that. I liked this one because I thought it was funny. So this vine was the only thing I could think about throughout the entire movie. Hey, Eddie, what do you want to eat? The souls of the innocent. A bagel. No! 2 bagels. I thought that was hilarious. Because it kind of felt like that kind of relationship. Because especially when he called him a parasite. Parasite! Okay, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I take it back. And I thought that was funny, that scene. This one, would you like to read or shall I?
I can read it.
Okay.
So, Cade, Venom, Stan,
Ondor,
Cade_Onder. I unapologetically love Venom. It's plagued with issues, but man, it's so fun and does not care. Review coming this weekend.
Ooh, I may have to watch that review then, if he'll be willing to watch mine, hopefully.
Yeah, figures.
Oh, who am I kidding? I'll watch it anyway. But yeah, no, it does have its issues. It clearly does, but it is a fun movie. And if you like a movie, don't apologize for it. Definitely. This I really enjoyed this more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Going in, I was really worried. Okay, so we got 2 left, and then we're calling it good.
Okay.
So. Bland cake at _starry eggs. Hashtag Venom was good, actually. Venom is a fun, enjoyable movie. Well worth a watch. You guys are just mean. Fair enough. So, last one is from John Campy. Says, just watched Venom for the second time. Everyone's experience with their audience will be different. But this is the second time that the audience I saw the film with gave enthusiastic applause at the end of the film. I think a lot of people in our audience enjoyed it too. They were laughing quite a bit throughout the end.
Oh, I was one of those left.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, well, that concludes all the reactions from other people. So, Crystal, it's time for our final verdict.
Okay.
What would you give this as a person from the outside looking in?
From the outside, I would say 4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of, wow, okay. 4.5 out of 5. Okay, my score, I am going to give it a little bit lower because I feel most comfortable with giving it a 3.5.
Okay.
Only because I do have my issues with it. The rush pacing hurt it, I feel like. I've hurt it a lot. And, just... Also, one thing that we didn't kind of talk about was like Venom's quick switch of, oh, I don't want to help the rest of my symbiotes take over the planet. I want to stay because of you, Eddie. And that was a sweet but kind of corny moment.
Yeah.
But the other problem is you don't have Spider-Man, and I kept my mind open for it, and it works in its own little universe. But if you really want a really great Venom movie, you have to do, and I'm still waiting for a Venom movie or a Spider-Man movie with the symbiote on Peter first. He gets it off by the end of the movie. It goes to Eddie, and then in the next movie we get Venom as the main villain kind of thing. That's what I'm kind of waiting for. But overall, Tom Hardy's performance really saves the movie. I would have given it lower if it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I feel most comfortable giving it 3.5.
Okay.
So that's my reasoning kind of behind it. It's a really great film. I really recommend if you're going to see it, go see it once in the theater. At least once. Maybe go to a matinee. Pay the least amount of money. But I guarantee you, it is a lot of fun.
Worth it.
I think it's worth at least once seeing in the theater.
Yeah.
So, well, that brings our total. Let's see. 3.5 plus 4.5 is 8. 8 out of 10. So not too bad. So, yeah. If you watched Venom and liked it, leave us a comment below leaving us your opinions. Tell me why I'm wrong, because I'm sure some maybe people I'm thinking are wrong. They think I'm wrong. Please tell me why I'm wrong. I have no problem with that. If you enjoyed the video, please click like. If you want to see some of our other videos, please subscribe, hit that bell, and maybe you'll be notified by YouTube when it posts up. We are still in October as we are recording this, obviously, since the movie came out in October. But we are releasing our Halloween videos. So we just released this yesterday, A Nightmare on Elm Street. So go watch that. What film will be released this Friday? Because we will be posting these Halloween videos every Friday till the end of October. Go find out what that will be. If you subscribe, you will find out sooner than most. Who will just find it, or when I share it. I believe that covers it. Oh, be sure to follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook. Leave any thoughts of the film there. Tweet us or leave a post on our Facebook page. So this has been Razz My Berry Review.